What is up, troopers? This is a surprise episode of the Notorious Scoundrels, Mike. I didn't think that this was going to happen this week, but you know, I got done with my recertification exam yesterday. We're going to talk about that. Just kidding. That would be really boring for everybody. But you know, it turns out that I'm already packed for Oklahoma Open in terms of my Legion stuff. So I'm not going to need any time to get that together. I'm going to be bringing the same models that I brought to something else that we'll talk about. But before we get to that, how you doing? Are you glad that we are fitting in an episode and we thought that we were going to have to leave people wanting this week?
Hey, I mean, it's MiniStrav Eve, basically.
Yeah, 2 days away as we record this.
Probably one day or day of if you're listening, I suspect.
Yeah, actually, or maybe it'll be a day away as you're listening.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, excitement in the house. And I think we've got it's funny, you know, I think you were like, "Hey, let's record an episode." And you're like, "It'll be short." And then you started talking about all the things we were talking about today. We'll talk about this.
It's like,
we'll see how short it actually is.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. I guess we can just get into that really quickly. Is that we did get this schedule for MiniStrav. It's about as times have changed, Mike. You remember when we had to parse together what the titles meant of the various segments of MiniStrav, where one of them would be like new battle plans, and then the other one would be planning the battles. And we would be like, which one of those is about point changes?
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is good, and it's like I'm a little bit disappointed is the wrong word. I'm a little sad. I think that I just think MiniStrav was such like a unique, cool, like online con thing they did. And I'm not saying that they're like getting away from that, but it feels like we're getting away from that. I'm sure that they're slammed and they got busy stuff to do.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed teasing out what we thought all of those panels were about. Like,
it was good for the content.
It was super good for the content, right? So yeah, I mean, we're going last, which is probably a good thing for us.
That means we can run over.
It means we can run over. I think saving the best for last is always a real thing when it comes to these sort of like showcases and stuff. Like, I do think that's part of the shtick, right?
I think you're right. It might mean that the announcements that they think carry the most weight would potentially be with Legion, when you think about it that way. Like that is how it was at Adepticon, right? Legion was last there. And it was because there was so much focus on the starters coming out, and then they had a bunch of new product announcements there. So it makes one think that they could be talking about something bigger than just, here are some characters and vehicles that are coming out. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I think the other thing is they made a point to say this. They said bigger reveals, new game content, and exciting roadmaps.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that they called out the new game content. I'm not sure that they've ever let us know, kind of like heads up, that there's gonna be new game content like in advance. Like before it was like, oh, here's some battle forces, but we didn't really know that we were getting battle forces ahead of time, right? Or
it was, oh, here's a bunch of generic upgrades.
Sure.
Out with in June.
Right. You know, and I think I'm curious as to what the new game content actually is. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of hope it's Tours of Duty stuff.
There could be. I guess, like, if you ask me point blank, my assumption would be that it would be upgrade cards, that they would be releasing the upgrade cards that are going to be in the next physical card pack as print and play, since they've been adamant And I appreciate this, that they've been adamant about the fact that when it comes to upgrades, it's pretty laissez-faire, and that anybody who wants to only print those out is going to be completely welcome to. And what that means is that you can release new game content whenever you want for this game. And the two forms that could take would be A, new upgrade cards, or B, new Battle Force document. Either of those would technically be new game content, and I would love it if it's both. So
yeah, I custom characters with custom upgrades for Tours of Duty. Let's see some bounty hunters you can add to your roster as generic Boba Fett.
I think that a build your bounty hunter and a like an idea that I saw the other day. I wish I could give credit to whoever I saw it. If you want to comment, then please let me know. But I saw an idea about a build your Inquisitor, which would be a way for a pretty canon-ish way, since I guess there were a billion of those Jokers until they suddenly didn't exist anymore. I'll leave it to the real experts on the canon to tell me how that exactly happened. But that is a thing that you could do. You could have like, okay, this is 38th brother. he's a 5 foot tall Rhodian with a mean streak. But there's bounty hunter, and then there's like one could think that they could just have a build your clone commander sort of deal eventually.
I mean, there's no way that's not coming.
Right.
Whether it's a MiniStrav or not, I think,
yeah, or
whatever. But that seems just like an easy chip shot.
And all of those things make tours stronger, right?
Yeah. I think I'm hoping for. I was thinking the other day. I think more story arcs for tours could be really cool, and I think that story arcs that incorporate characters would be cool. Like rather than every time you
like a Vader story arc,
sort of. So like, let's imagine that you have like a Assault on Echo Base story arc, okay, right. And it's like an Imperial one, and each agenda is like, this is the Veers agenda, and when you complete that Veers agenda, you get to take Veers in your list without having to like spend supply points and stupid stuff. And like, there's the Vader agenda, and I don't know, maybe like a third character you tack on, or maybe it's like an AT-AT agenda or whatever. It gives you maximum firepower every turn for free or something. I don't know. Like,
wouldn't be the craziest thing in Legion,
right? Like so like whatever. But like, I think cool things that like make the story arc feel a little bit more like, I feel like there's a lot there that you could do, and I think one thing that I think Tours is missing is the named guys, and I think building it into story arcs like that,
that'd be a way to make it organic without overriding the concept of what Tours is.
Exactly. It's like, I have Vader in my list, but it's because we're assaulting Echo Base right now, right? Like, and it's like doing the thing, and I don't know. I think that there's a lot of stuff you could do with that, and I'm hoping that that's my personal big wish list new game content item. I don't care about new upgrade cards. Give me new Tours of Duty stuff.
Listen to you, Mike.
Look, I'm a competitive guy, but look, Stormtide was my baby, like this is what I wanted, and so I'm really excited. I'm like 15 games in. I got a bunch of like VR3 guys, and they're running around and bopping people on the head.
That does sound fun when you have some guys that have gained a bunch of levels, and you can make them into just busted units.
Yeah, Aegis Squad is terrorizing the local Nova scene.
Are you is there anything are you like metavacking every round because you're worried that they could die and then you're never going to see them again?
No, I've decided that like, if I take a loss, I'm going to take a loss, because like I that's just, I don't know. That's part of the.
You're a serious role player.
I'm a serious role player. I got I've started building dossiers for every clone in the list. Like, not clone unit, like, this is CT5432, and he's from,
oh, shoot.
like, So we're working on that. I've had Clone Commander Helios died, and Vortex Squad took a digger on Tuesday, unfortunately. So we're down 6 clones in total.
Sorry to hear that.
Me too. The 254th Combined Assault Battalion will keep motoring on though.
Well, what would CT-5432's nickname? That would be reverse or backtrack. That would be a good name.
Backtrack. Yeah.
Yeah, gives them 5432. Get it?
C3LP has been helping me quite a bit, and writing these dossiers.
Oh man, you've been cavorting with C3LP. We're going to be joining in with him later. We're going to see if he's maybe learned his lesson from his antics a couple episodes ago. We had to put him in the cooler last time because we put him in the cooler because the takes from you and Isaiah, especially with that MiniStrav predictions episode, were so hot. It wasn't any time for anything else.
I'm going to be honest. Everybody in the comments were like, "Man, those are some hot takes." I feel like they mostly were pretty cold. Like, if you want hot takes, like we can get into hot takes, but I was actually being quite conservative.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one that I saw most was people wondering why the world champ thought that Rebel Bad Batch should go down. But
I think that's
plenty.
That's a fair critique. I think I do think Rebel Bad Batch is worse than Republic Bad Batch, but I'm not sure they need to go down. I also don't think they need to go up though.
I think they're fine.
I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh my god, I got squashed by Bad Batch. You jacked them points up," and I don't think. Yeah.
Well, we shall see when MiniStrav comes this Saturday. You and basically everybody aside from me, Cry, is going to be available to do some pretty rapid reactions. So you're going to be getting together to release something pretty soon after. And then I believe since I'm going to be over in Oklahoma, I'm going to be hopefully spending some time with the X and One dudes. Maybe it may be live, it may be recorded. I'm not sure which one at this point, but I will be glad to do that. And so we're gonna get to just populate the airways with the Fifth Trooper takes from multiple angles, so that nobody leaves disappointed. Speaking of the Fifth Trooper, I wanted to do some Patreon shout-outs real fast. We have 4 new and upgrading members. We have Black Ants, Tom Vander, Baron Thod, and Hans Hansen. Hans Hansen, I'm guessing, is also from Denmark. We had a nice conversation about the history of Denmark last time. That we're gonna take that into a new conversation this time about the country that I was just in, and then a random shout out to Jesse Bongiorno, and of course a big shout out to our sponsors. That would be Game Toppers and Legion Terrain. Check out links on the YouTube page if you want to know more about those. And just that wonderful terrain back there. We have a couple TFT minis that'll be coming out soon that we've finally started actually utilizing that stuff to show some visual concepts. So very excited about that. But let's get on to, obviously, Mike, the main topic of the day. Okay, this is not something I get to say all that often, but I won something.
You got to give yourself some more credit, I feel like, in that regard.
Hey, that's up to the people to decide. But I got something here.
Nice. What do you think of that trophy?
It's neat.
Neat's the right word.
No, I mean it's. I'm not downplaying it when I say that. It's cool that it's like emblazoned with what it is.
Sure.
They could have easily just here's a plastic stand up, Luke, and the significance of it is up to the audience to decide.
Yeah.
And hey, I basically just know that if next year this is like Obi-Wan or Anakin or something, or it might, maybe if it's my favorite character in the game, the super tactical auxiliary command droid, then it's then I wouldn't be winning a GT, and so I get the Luke Skywalker one. But yeah, it's cool. And then you get a whole bunch of other goodies. So yes, there was a GT that took place in Vancouver, Canada. It was actually the only GT that Canada had this year. We're going to talk about that at the end, because I have thoughts.
The only one? Like
it was the only one. Can you believe that? I guess Saint Laurent Open was not a GT, even though that had more players, and it's in my opinion represents I think winning that represents a bigger accomplishment just because of how many more players there was. Where I think it was 30. The BCGT, the story is that there had been, I might get this wrong, and if I do, I apologize to Will Jasper, who ran it, who's from the States. He's actually from Zulus, the same store that Isaiah and I play at. But there was a bigger gaming convention called West Coast GT that is mostly 40K, and there had been a plan earlier in the year for there to be a series of GTs from AMG there, and then something happened to where those didn't happen, and almost as a kind of a consolation, there was a scramble to figure out would there, and that's also in Vancouver, Canada, I should say. So it's the same place that it would have been before, but a different store was found, so this was at Richmond Reroll, which is in Richmond, is one of the suburbs of Vancouver. Really, really great store. It had a lot of space, so really appreciate them stepping up. And Will came up and ran it. And I think that Will basically had a month and a half to advertise for a GT, and in a part of the country where there's a pretty big Legion scene, but half of it is in Oregon, and they actually had their own tournament down there over the same weekend, which made it extra difficult. And then the Vancouver Legion scene is still building itself up. They have actually a significantly bigger Shatterpoint scene in Vancouver, funny enough. But he got everything together, and we got the word out as best we could, and we got 17 players. So pretty decent showing. What was funny was that it was one player into the zone of making it a 2-day event. So it meant that I stayed an extra night in Vancouver, which is fine. It's a lovely city, honestly. It's a very, very cool and nice and clean city, and so that wasn't a big deal. But it was funny that I was also at the top of the end of day one, so I was like, this could have been over by now, and I had to play 2 more games to stay in it. But
if Isaiah only didn't show up to play a day and then drop,
and so that's the other piece of the story, and the other reason why anybody who wants to even try to be impressed by this should just take a couple steps back and consider the fact that not only Isaiah and Caitlin, but also I think 2 other players, that would be Adam Harrison and Francois, who are both very good players that also play at Zulus, could have been in the top 4, but they just decided that they would rather just go back home. Which is understandable. The fact that I stayed an extra day was a whole extra day being up there in Vancouver. Isaiah had to get going because he's in Oklahoma already right now as we speak, because he's got family down there, and he needed to get down there early in order to do family stuff, and so he and I were both 4-0 at the end of regulation, so to speak. There had been a game where we were due to play each other on an extremely open map. And then as I was like sort of doing this, and he was like, we had done our battle cards, and he was looking down and going, "This is not going to go." He was saying, "This is not going to go well for me." Is that we suddenly had to get repaired, and then Isaiah, because he's a jerk, was just like, "Yes." So yeah, we did not end up facing each other, but there were a lot of really good players there, and I guess we should get into. Well, first I want to mention Isaiah's list. I can never tell with this guy when he is like, when is he goofing around versus when does he really think that he might be latching on to a really good idea. I mean,
I can tell you here.
Okay, so
because we talked about it ahead of time.
Yeah,
he was goofing around.
Okay, I was pretty sure he was, but he like we'll show it here on the video. But he basically was just like, how many characters can I put into a Republic list? And of course, Ahsoka is what the rule is associate. Is that right? That allows you to cram in an extra character.
That's correct. Yeah.
So with Anakin and Ahsoka, that means that you can have 3 commanders and 2 operatives in a list. So he did Ahsoka, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Bad Batch, and a Jedi Guardian with the double-bladed. That would be the good Jedi, and peacekeeping, I should add. So that's
prepared positions,
right? The prepared positions, reliable. Those are the 3 upgrades that sort of define the most quote meta version of the customizable Jedi, I would say.
Meta, good, anywhere close to good.
The most competitive one. Yeah, and then he tossed Jedi Mind Trick on there because why not? It's a good force power. And then he had just like 3 marksmen. They all had dug in and a mortar, and then 2 of them had medics in order to be able to recharge Obi-Wan a little bit, since naturally it's an Isaiah list. He's going to have Obi-Wan guarding every possible thing that he can until he can guardian no more, especially on round 1. I didn't get to see the list in action. You know, he did very well. He won 4-0. I'm pretty sure that he was playing General Kenobi round 1 in order to make sure that the marksmen would be surged up.
Sure.
And then if you order the marksman, then you sort of have order control, because then like you just have a bunch of characters in your bag. Sure. And you can basically define, okay, you know, if you draw a commander first, then you might be like, okay, we'll send Ahsoka out first because she's the least likely to be able to wreck face, knowing where the other opponents are, and then you can take a bunch of passes on the way. So if that list got in there, it would be a problem with 5 Jedi like that. It probably does have like a lot of potential weaknesses in terms of battle cards, in terms of opposing army lists. But it's definitely a cool one. I have no idea what he's taking to Oklahoma Open. Do you? Has he talked to you?
Perhaps.
Are you 2-timing me, Isaiah? Unbelievable. You like, hey, listen, if Isaiah, I'm just going to call you out publicly. If you think that me being aware of like what your tricks are is meaningful in any way, then you are lowering yourself, sir. You're the world champion. Don't worry about Evan Paul. But so yeah, that one of the best things about Isaiah is that he is willing to just like take crazy lists. And sometimes he crashes and burns, as he did in LVO earlier this year, like the first LVO, I should say. And then sometimes he just wins worlds with his crazy list. So you never know.
I do think that there is something to be said for, you know, a lot of people don't have the amount of time that us talking heads have to play the game and, you know, like
absolutely
play with new strategies that are untested and stuff like that. But that is how you end up playing a Kenobi double ISP, you know, no force push list at Worlds and winning, right? Like, that is part of the thing, is that if you don't mess around and try new stuff, like you're never going to end up on finding a new thing that kind of breaks some things open, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a good time to remind folks that counter picks have won the last 3 worlds in a row. And so rather than like the actual meta list of the day, so to speak. So it's worth keeping in mind that if you really want to go up there, then thinking a little bit creatively is something that you want to be good at. Now, would some people say that my list was creative? I would not. The one that I took to BCGT. So let's talk about it. This is sort of just a combination of various things that we had talked about in the cast before, but it's the conglomeration of it that I saw something potentially magical in terms of being able to magical from a efficiency and synergy standpoint. I think that while it's true that this list is not going to be legal anymore, that much I can guarantee because of Aquas alone, right? Like most Aqua lists won't be legal anymore in a week, whatever they go up by.
We hope.
We hope. But the amount that this list works together with itself and the amount of redundancy in it, and like the combination of tools, it felt like cheating at the game. And the last time that I was playing a list that felt like cheating is a time that you'll remember well, Mike. It's the only time that we faced each other in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
It was when I was running Blizzard Force. This list, in many ways, felt like the Blizzard Force of old, and we'll get into why. So
that's interesting because I think that this list is way more scary than Blizzard Force.
It is. But
okay. I just want to like paint the proper picture here because you comparing to this to Blizzard Force, I'm not sure is like fair to Blizzard Force.
So I'll just say why I'm doing the comparison now, which is to say that the 3. It's hard to even like give 3 highlights of the list, but if you had to give 3 highlights of the list that align very well with Blizzard Force, is a combination of a potentially abusive battle card set. Number 1, number 2, a extremely strong alpha, and number 3, a strong mid game with the potential for a lot of board manipulation. In Blizzard Force, you're talking about Vader and all the stuff that he can do. And in this one, it's a little bit more spread out, but it's a combination. I'm actually mostly talking about the super attack abilities in this list, which
surprise
are upgrades that you can use as free actions and repeat that we're going to mention it again, have the power level of command cards, just in case we haven't said it enough. So let's get into it for the audio listeners. We have Kalani with nothing. He doesn't need anything. He's Kalani. We have General Grievous Wheelback Warlord. He had up close personal and recon intel, which I think are the 2 upgrades. He also had impact grenades because I had 3 points.
Okay, I was going to say, was this just like a we're putting this here because we've got nothing else to spend 3 points on? Or
it was, and I was curious, for the sake of the content, so to speak, if him being able to start a melee attack, which is made possible by having impact grenades. That's something we didn't even talk about when we were talking about his upgrade set, is that he has this weird grenade slot that almost doesn't make sense. The only context in which you can really come up, there's 2, is that 1, it would give him a 360 arc ranged attack if he was like truly facing away from your opponent, is that you could like toss a frag grenade, I guess.
Sure.
And then 2, when it's impact grenades, which is a grenade that has a melee profile, it would allow him to actually like start a melee and therefore use the snapping to theoretically get somebody off of a point or something. It's easier said than done. I'll tell you that it never mattered in the tournament, so we're just going to skip right past that one.
Okay.
And then, of course, I'm going to save the best for last. We had Sunfac. We had 2 Geonosians with nothing on them, and then 2 B1 battle droids with nothing on them. We had 3 Staps, 1 HQ uplink, and 2 link targeting arrays. And then 2 Aqua droids, both of which had the heavy and link targeting array. So let's get to the man of the hour. I decided to name him Carl for some reason. I haven't even figured out what it stands for.
Okay.
But I made I'll put up a picture for the video, but I made the most upsetting version of the custom super tack that you can make, which is the one that has like the head that has sort of like 3 vertical eyes. And then I also gave him the Electrostaff. I gave him the spider legs, and when I painted him up, I'm not quite done painting him, but I'm trying to make him look kind of rusty, and have some like spooky red lights on him. He's like sort of a horror show of a character when you put him together that way. But the super tactical command droid, auxiliary command droid, it's like the longest title in the world, with tyrannical taskmaster, overclocked, slice comms, electrostaff, and optimized task flow. So that is the operative. With the tyrannical taskmaster, it gives you another programming slot, because why not? And then the three most useful programmings on there.
I will say these customs have like reset my memory knowledge of Legion a little bit. Like normally I have everything memorized before we get to the table, and these customs have like thrown my like memory assuredness out the window.
So yeah, overclock, free move, slice comms, super Jedi mind trick, plus pin down, and then optimized task flow is direct AI.
Okay, so we're
just
really
to remind you what those are.
This is an overclock slice comms bot.
Yeah, and then you toss direct AI on top of that in order to just like increase the cheating.
That's generic value. It's not like I
Yeah.
don't think that's busted in any way, but it is a thing he gets to do kind of.
We're going to talk about a way that I might try to make it busted when I modify this slightly for Oklahoma, but and then I should mention the battle cards that I have: research shifting and intercepts. The first 2, of course, favor very mobile lists. This list has 7 triple movers. 7.
That's not including overclock, to be clear.
And that does not include overclock. You're correct.
So it's really like way more than that.
It is, yeah. And then intercepts is excellent on any list, especially if you have 3 geos. Then intercept just becomes a really dastardly objective, because you can say, okay, you opponent, I'm going to give you a choice between Sunfac and 2 Geonosian warriors about who is going to have intel tokens.
I'm curious about this, because I'd like to know whose intel choices are stronger between your list and my list.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that. That's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be talking about your new badness soon. But and then the secondaries, I have Destroy Enemy Base and Sweep and Clear. Both of those are very good for lists that move a lot. And then my third one was Surface Scan, just because like that one feels good when you have 2 aqua droids that you can just like slap your scanners on the aqua droids, and then they can't be panics. It takes a while for them to die, and so it's just like generally a pretty solid couple of points. I'm not sure if you would have picked a different secondary there, Mike.
I think I like Recon Mission in your deck more than Surface Scan. Just I think it's really easy to get accidentally blown out on Surface Scan.
It's harder for an aqua droid.
It is. No doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that like generally Surface Scan will be better for you than for your opponent, almost certainly.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, like, what I'm looking for in a secondary is just reliably being able to score it every turn and like never having it get messed up by my opponent being sneaky. And Recon Mission is that. I don't know. I I've had service scan can go off the rails so fast and so quickly, and if it does go off the rails, the game often is over.
Yeah, the way I was thinking about it was this: is that if I did recon, then I think the two best candidates for it would be either Grievous or the Super Tac. Or I'm just going to call him Carl from now on to not mix him up with Kalani. It would be Grievous or Carl. There are the ones that would probably be hanging around your opponent the most. The thing about Grievous, though, is that he can die. We're going to get into that. He can definitely die, but it's usually after you've done the damage you're going to do. And then he's often kind of on his own, and so if he kicked the recon token out, then like if my opponent kicked it out towards the board edge, then it actually may be tough for me to get to it. And then
I think it goes on the stabs in your list. I think the last in stab basically goes.
It would be an asset though, so it would limit their movement.
On the stabs,
the recon token is an asset, isn't it?
Yeah.
So speeders, as a reminder, everybody, if speeders are carrying an asset, then they cannot triple move. They can only do their compulsory and then one move action on their turn, which is why they're not like as mega abusive on destroy enemy base as they potentially could be.
But you can still like move, overclock them. Like, I mean, overclock them, move, shoot. Like, 2 speed 3s is like gonna get you enough to like score your recon mission.
I also, here's a secret, Mike. I don't want my stabs to be even more of a juicy target than they already are. And
sure.
You
could also give them to your aquas, like,
sure,
whatever.
Yeah, that's true. The aquas honestly would be a fine target for recon. Aside from the fact that your opponent can maybe kind of run away from an aqua, would be the only concern there.
You just wait to drop the aqua until last, and
yeah, you can do in this.
You can do that.
So
I think service scan is defensible. I personally avoid service scan like the plague because I think it's too volatile.
Yeah, it can really swing things, that's for sure. The good thing is that the aquas are usually pretty close to the rest of my list, and so if they did go down, then there would usually be somebody around who could pick it up. But I'm just gonna say how this list works, Mike, because it's not like it's a secret at this point, and I'm gonna be curious about how many other people had the same idea that when we show up to Oklahoma. I know that at least one other person, we manifested the same idea at the same time. That would be Henning over in Germany, who also won a 30-something person event over there with a list that is very similar to mine. I'll show that up on here, but basically the only difference is that he dropped the geos in favor of more acts and just extra B1s. And then he also had another idea that I'm going to totally steal for my Oklahoma list. We'll get into that in a second. But what the list does, Mike, is that you play a tactical download on round 1. So that gives you 3 orders on either AIs or droid troopers, right? So you can order a STAP and then whoever. And then, you order a STAP and then a B1 and whoever, probably like Kalani, I think was the third one that I usually did. And then there's this thing that happens, Mike. The list has 5 coordinates and 3 directs. And so when you put all that together, you have 1 geo and Sunfac in the back. And it even means that on tactical download, which is a super tac command that is meant to like not respect the organics on your list at all, but a STAP has coordinate droid trooper or vehicle, and General Grievous is a vehicle, and therefore he can just like get the coordinated order from a STAP, and then you can be happily in full order control on round 1 with 4 extra aims to spend on top of it. Then you start by throwing some troopers out there, usually the B1s, and then like a geo, and then at that point I'm usually tossing out Carl And then once Carl's out there, you can send Kalani out there, and he can do this fun trick where he'd strategize too. And I'll strategize myself and Carl. And then Carl takes 2 suppression tokens and kicks both of those tokens back to Kalani so that you double aim, double dodge in the shareable zone. So we're up to 6 aims now. And then 4 of those vehicles have linked targeting array, so that brings you up to 10 potential aims that you're spending on round 1 attacks. You get through your troopers your first 7 acts, since this list has 6 vehicles. And then at that point, you're basically just sort of you're feeling out the field in terms of what is looking like a good stat target, because you want something that is poking out there a little bit, especially if it's poking out on the side, because you don't want to just like dive your stats directly into the enemy. That is how they die. So you want to try to have them flank a little bit. You can afford to have 1 stat that is close to an Aqua, as long as your HQ and usually 1 other stat is close to Grievous. And then you can still keep your order control going that way. And you just start shooting guys. And as a reminder, your opponent, like as long as your opponent has moved beyond sort of the range 1 zone of their own side, then they're going to be shootable by a stat without the stat being mega exposed. Like the stat is still going to be outside of the zone where a range 3 unit can do a move shoot into it.
Yeah.
As long as they've moved up enough that you can take that shot. And so, but also that stat is going to have 2 dodges from the 2 moves that it probably did to get there, plus 1 per attack from Kalani, plus 1 from tactical download to spend, because I'll tell you this, the Staps really don't care all that much about immobilized tokens. If you take 1, you're still a speed 2 speeder, and that's still pretty good.
Turns out
you've already done the fast moving that you need to, at least that time. It matters at the very beginning of the game, and it matters at the very end of the game, but in the middle, if you're speed 2, it's actually like not a huge deal. So you have a bunch of extremely modded stab shots. You, of course, have the Aqua Alpha. And then to top it all off, you have Grievous, who usually will be coming in as a last activation, even if your opponent is standing orders, because it's a 13-act list. And you basically can just decide where you want Grievous. There was never a game where I wasn't able to get off a attack on round 1, because he has recon intel, which means that he is doing a speed 1 move and then 2 speed 2 moves on his large base, and then you can either do another move to do an overrun, or you can do a range 2 shot.
He's a fast boy.
He's a fast boy, and so like you have this huge alpha where you're shooting. So let's see, that's 18 dice for the Staps. It's and then it's 18 from the Aquas. So that's 36 extremely modded attack dice that your opponent will very often just have to kind of deal with. And they'll be able to do some return shots.
You're taking most of those dice to the face.
Yeah. I think that I was surprised myself at how good 6 black dice with critical 2 and
Staps
2
with
aims
2 aims are like almost always 5 and mostly 6.
It's mostly 6. Like, on round 1, it was, the only dice that I would typically miss would be like 1 white dice on the Aqua shot. For all of those. And then, if Grievous takes a shot, it's a little bit of a roulette wheel, so he'll often get like 3. But it's 3 Pierce 1, and it's also Impact 1, so you can, and he surge to crit, so even if you're shooting at like an armored vehicle, you can start doing some stuff. And then the other big thing the list does is that you start off with Jedi Arts the next round. You start with a dodge, and so even if your opponent out 1 pips you, or does a 0 pip, or does a cunning 1-pip that it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to actually like kill you before you do your thing. And then you dive in there, you get an overrun done, you get a shot done, and then you do 5 Jedi Arts attacks. All of a sudden you have, if you do that, you would have 7 dodges on your person, 1 from the card, 1 from the shot, and then 5 from Jedi Arts shots. And then your opponent basically has to be like, I can choose whether to ignore Grievous this round, which means that he's going to live until next round, or I can dump like all of my army's dice into him in order to actually like bring him down. And then meanwhile, you have like a whole other army that's coming in around the back. It's brutal.
You just got to kind of let Grievous do his thing, I think, in that scenario.
I think so, but that's so many dice that you've taken with often no response, right? Like you think about the 36 plus, I mean, to 41 if you include a Grievous shot, which is the usual thing. So 41 dice round 1, and then you have the double attacks from Grievous and then Jedi Arts. Is that the vast majority of that is responseless shooting that you've just taken. And
depends on the list.
It depends on the list. And for a lot of lists, that's just too much to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it seems particularly good into rebels that are like mostly a range 2 army at the moment, where they can't really snap you back, right?
Yeah.
And their stuff also dies when it takes hits, right? Like
it does, and
as opposed to like clones who might be able to save out of it.
Yeah, and rebels can also get suppressed most easily, and they don't have access to compel, and so yeah, I think it is especially good against rebels. Of course, like I didn't run into any X-34s. That's certainly something that would give Grievous some trouble. And that list cannot activate me if they do the full 14-act style, or if they do standing orders on 13, then they would get the jump on the G-Man. But and then the other thing that I didn't run into that would have had more of a response would be Dark Troopers, because they would be able to do the pass abuse in order, like plus the they would be able to do the pass abuse to make it so that if Grievous did encroach, that they would get a couple shots off, and so that would mean that Grievous would probably die faster. They wouldn't be able to kill him before Jedi Arts, but probably it would be but it would definitely be like a threat that I would have to consider.
Yeah.
And then the third thing, and I'll just quickly say that I ran into Caleb Torrey twice during the tournament. It was once during Swiss and then once in the final round. And he had a list that will show up here. Very straightforward, actually. Just Dooku Asajj, a Super B2, 3 B1s, 3 Decas, and 2 Aquas. Which is that list doesn't really give a crap about Jedi Arts at all.
Sure.
And so
you spun on some stuff. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. But then I would be like, spinning on a Super B2 and then 3 Decas with shields on them and then 2 Aquas is like, oh, well, I seem to have achieved nothing. But so I had to be more careful with him. So that's another list that wouldn't be as hurt by the alpha. But I think that this list it's really good, Mike. And
yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of synergy, right?
Yeah,
like it is working. There are a lot of different pieces that work well together. I think if you're able to take 2 or 3 of the pieces out on like top of turn 2, like it could get difficult for you quickly.
For sure.
Like if you somehow kill like 2 Staps and Grievous in a quick fashion, I think all of a sudden your
list would be in a ton of trouble if that happened.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're like, I've got Aquas, I guess. Like, which isn't a bad thing to have, but Aquas definitely shine when they're not the focus, right?
Yeah.
So I do think there's some fragility here. I don't know. I don't know how fragile it actually is in practice, but as someone who hasn't played against it, I'm looking at this and thinking like, I got to kill these Staps like immediately.
So you've keyed into something that I think if more people had keyed into it at this GT, then I might not have walked away with it. Like the list is not invincible at all. It's definitely like one of the hardest front punches that I can think of any list out there, but it can't take heat super well, especially if the stats are shot pre-activation.
Yeah, there are 3 units that like are hard to kill, and those are Grievous and the Aqua Droids. Everything else here, like if you get a good shot in, it's totally possible you pick up the unit from full to dead.
Yeah, and that includes all of my core, all 4 of them. It includes Sunfac. Even the obviously, like if Kalani is shot without backup, then or if he's lightsabered in the face, then he goes down super fast. Carl, because of the immune melee pierce, can last a little bit longer when he gets into the fight.
Yeah.
But even he, especially if he's shot at range 2, like he can go down super duper fast. So,
did you play into any clones with this list?
I did not. The time that I almost played Isaiah would have been the only time. Isaiah may have been. Yeah, there were a couple clone players there. I just didn't happen to run into them.
I'm not entirely sure that list would have been a good measure of this list into clones, anyways. To be honest,
it's not a typical clone list for sure.
Yeah.
If it was something like, closer to your list that you ran at Crucible, then I think that would have been more interesting.
The Commandos definitely would have probably eaten a stab on turn 1.
Yeah,
right?
that Commandos would have been tough because the HV, that would have been a killer.
If Grievous gets too close, Grievous could die on turn 1, or depending on when you probably activate him last, right? But if you're doing that, then we get a stab or 2.
It would be different. I think that against there's certain lists where I would actually do standing orders instead of tactical download on round 1 because I would lose more than gain on the alpha. So that was yet another thing that made me fortunate enough to be in the place that I could win this thing was that I didn't really run into a ton of lists that could hit me back super hard on round 1. I will say that I ran into one list in the top 4 match ran by a gentleman that goes by Referoni, where he actually was playing Echo Base, so he had a bunch of FDs.
Okay.
And that was the list where Grievous was actually the most anemic out of all 6 of the games that I played because I had to hide him behind buildings the whole time on the way in.
4 FD turrets.
He had 4 FDs.
This guy had, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 copies of Dug In.
Yeah.
Dug In 6 points?
Suffice to say, I did not shoot anything that was unactivated in that list ever because I didn't want to, waste my time. But with him, I was I think that would potentially have been a lot more of a nail biter if it wasn't for the fact that he played conservatively with his T-47.
Sure.
He came in at an angle the way that one would the way that a good speeder player would. He came in at an angle to make a shot, and then he ran away after towards the board edge. But it is a big model, and so I was still able to shoot it with A Stap and A Aqua, and unfortunately, that's all that was necessary.
Yeah.
And it was gone round 1, and it was carrying his recon token, and so it was again, something like a T-47 that can't possibly hide, it's just going to be vulnerable to something like that. So it's rough. But I'll say this before we get to the Doom and Gloom stuff. It was an excellent time. I was really glad to meet all of the Canadian players over there. Gonna show some models that I took a picture of that are done by Daniel Fernandez, very nice guy, and I'm showing these because they do such a good job of showing how when you properly zenithal that especially if you're about to paint it white afterwards, that you can really like bring out a ton of like awesome detail without as much extra effort as you would normally be doing if you were doing it all by hand. But they're keeping the dream alive up there in Vancouver, and so if there's anybody listening who is in the BC area, then I think that Richmond Reroll is the main store where there's Legion play happening. But just try to reach out. There's a Discord that I will link to in the YouTube page. But check them out. It was really good stuff, and I was joking around that we had such a good time together that finally we can get past the pig war that had torn our two countries apart so long ago.
Nice.
Are you familiar with that one, Mike?
I'm not. And last time we talked about wars, it didn't go well for me. So
this one did involve actual violence. But basically, this was in 1859, and there's an island that is currently in the States. Thank God, San Juan Island. That is basically it's the farthest west island in Washington State, and then it's right next to Vancouver Island, which is like the big Canadian island where Vancouver and Victoria are.
Sure.
So there was like a brief struggle over it, and there was one casualty, Mike, which was a single pig. That there was basically some shots rang out, and nobody actually got hurt except there was a single pig that went down, and so there were some telegrams that went back and forth, and they finally settled it. America, rightfully Canada, got control of San Juan Island, but it's just the funny little bit of history. So yeah, hashtag remember the pig war. But yeah, I had a great time, and now I get to not have to play on day one at Adepticon.
Yeah,
So
huge.
that's cool,
right?
Yeah.
Definitely big win there.
So I guess the question is, oh yeah, sorry, I'm going to mention real quick the super tech stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What those techno force powers did was that they made it so that I did not have to play perfectly.
Sure.
And so if I made an oopsie, which I often do because I'm not a mega player, then I can cheat using either overclock, the free speed 2 move at the cost of a single immobilized token, or the slice comms in order to pile on some suppression without needing to shoot them. I never even used slice comms to get rid of an order. I just used it as super Jedi mind trick, and it was enough. Like there was like in the game against Adam Harrison, there was a point where basically our two Sun Facts were sort of dueling each other for control of the point, and that they were off in their lonesome. But with I had activation advantage by that point, and so his Sunfac had to like move on to the point first, and so then I shot him once with my Sunfac, and then Carl dipped over there and was like, "Here's 2 more," and then all of a sudden he was just panicked. And even Operative Luke Skywalker would not have been allowed to do that with Jedi Mind Trick. And so this is just the world that we live in. Yeah, cheating, Mike. It didn't feel good, but it felt kind of good.
I mean, it'll be interesting, I think, to see where the super tax have us in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so good. It's ridiculous. The Technoforce is extremely powerful. And yeah, I'm curious about like how does this list truly change as Aquas go up? There's also a possibility that Kalani goes up. I have this feeling that he won't, because I feel like he's been kind of under the radar.
I would put Kalani in the like, I don't want to say perfect, but like, I think that's I feel about Kalani the same way I feel about Bad Batch. Is like, these are units that I think are priced correctly for where they go and what their slot is. Like Kalani is a monster, no doubt, but he's what?
He's 85.
He's 85, which is a lot for a support commander now, unless you're like, Lando. Like, and so, but if Kalani gets into a fight, he's really quite terrible.
Oh, he's terrible in a fight. There was more than one time when I like put him in melee to protect him, and then I like had nothing else to do, so I just did a punch, and I was like, 2 black dice.
Yeah, it's like it's not good, right? And so,
yeah,
I think that's okay. And I don't know. I think it's okay for units to be above the curve sometimes, and I think Kalani fits into that category. Could he go up to 90 or something? Sure. I think that's unnecessary.
He doesn't need to go up to like 100 or whatever at all.
Yeah, I think it's unnecessary and would be mostly meaningless.
I think you're probably right. And this conversation is also just like making me wonder: are they going to do like an aggressive points cut with Kraken? Because if they do, then you lose the direct, but he still has Exemplar, which, when you have this super tech operative with aid, can all of a sudden be like a really, really nice combo. And so like if he gets cheaper, then you could actually be potentially saving cash elsewhere in the list by just switching Kalani out for him.
I don't know. Kraken's like probably better than most of the new Jedi, so I mean, you laugh, but I'm not even really being that like jokey. I mean, like yeah. Let's put it this way: he's 5 health, right? He's got charge. He's got 4 red in melee, and if you find him an aim token, it's 4 red, pierce 1. Like,
right?
That's like better than most of their lightsabers.
Once he searched crit, right?
He searched crit, yeah. And he's got Exemplar and Override, and like he's got a range 3 lightsaber basically with Sharpshooter 1 and Lethal 1. Like, you can just
that's
strategize himself and like lightsaber pot shot somebody from range 3 if you really want to. I don't know. All I'm saying is that I think I'm not expecting Kraken to come down. Like maybe 75 or something. I don't know, but
that was something I didn't even mention, Mike, is that on top of all that other business is that I could do reinforce moves on both my Aquas, and I usually picked my HQ uplink stat in order to like readjust the chain.
Sure.
As my third one, and then Kalani himself gets to move up, and so yeah, I mean the Exemplar, and then access to the 2 and 3 pip, especially, that are very strong command cards. It's just like cheating, piling on cheating at that point. It was just nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to call it cheating. I do understand where you're coming from. It feels OP-ish is all get out.
I mean, so
I think
on a Yoda triple commando list, how many aims do you have for round 1? You have 5 without taking aim actions.
You have 5 plus another 9 from arcs.
That's true. The arc ones, you can count the arc ones. I guess it's about the same number of aims if you're thinking of it that way.
I think the main difference there is that the pools you can spend them on are significantly more limited in that list. Like
for now,
I mean,
we're gonna talk about your list in a second.
Yeah. I think in the Yoda Commando list specifically, though, like the scariest pool you're throwing round 1 is probably 4 red dice. Yeah. High velocity pierce 1, which is scary, but it's not 40 dice.
Right, it's not 40 dice.
It's roughly 12 pierce 3 that gets through dodge tokens, which is scary, but also there's generally cover involved, and with the staps sometimes there's not.
Or they just roll 2 natural crits and 2 surges, and then cover doesn't matter at that point anymore.
Right. There's no surgeon to crit on any of the clone stuff, because we gotta be careful with the clones. They can't have anything good.
Right. Oh no, the comments.
I know. Oh, it's gonna be great. But
players.
I do think that I do think your list is maybe one half of what I'm expecting the new meta to kind of look like. Sans points changes, and that turn one shooting is going to be a big thing again.
Yet again, and that's how Legion 2.6 started.
Yes,
and was a world of turn one shooting.
I feel like this is going to be turn one shooting, but it's going to be amped up to like 11 in a lot of ways.
Funny you mention that, because the last thing I'll say about the list is that I am thinking of turning that number of aims up to 11 literally by switching out Tyrannical Taskmaster for the fighty one that I'm already forgetting.
The target one?
Yeah. The one that gets marksman on target instead. It would mean that I lose a programming slot, which actually probably means I think it's going to mean either getting rid of sliced comms or the extra direct AI. I haven't fully decided on that, I guess, but the advantage is that you're getting an aim pretty much every round that you can aid over to Kalani.
Sure.
And also, you would be saving a little bit of cash that I would spend on the steady upgrade for him, which would actually potentially be another round one shot that you can you can almost certainly turn into a crit if you want to just like get a free extra crit on round one on whatever you wanted to, or you could probably get like 2 or 3 regular hits depending on what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and then that makes his one pip better if you want to play that instead of the Sunfac one. That was the other thing, is that this whole list, I only ran Jedi Arts and Supreme Commander for my Grievous cards because I just basically thought that he was going to die.
Sure. And then he didn't, right?
And he died in 2 games.
Okay.
So he did sometimes die. And then I have Super Tac 2-3 tactical download, obviously. And I ran Brewer Enforcer, the Sunfac card. What's funny is that Sunfac was like so often in melee already by the time I would have wanted to play that.
Sure.
That like usually like finding himself buried in a weakened enemy core to hide was what he was often doing. That like the free move didn't do anything for me. So I think I'm going to try out the Super Tech 1 pip to see if I can maybe get some double attacks in the right scenario.
I'm less high on Brutal Enforcer in the list you're running specifically, just because it's like
then a whole bunch of Geos.
Well, and
with Geo Super,
yeah, it's like the naked Geo squad is like it's not nearly as scary as some of those other Geo squads you can get rolling around.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's my list. It was a good time, and we'll have to see how it changes. Now, Mike, I didn't even know this at the time, but you were trying to answer the call yourself about how busted can I make a Legion list. And unlike mine, I actually am pretty sure that yours is not going to be getting more expensive in 3 days.
Yeah, if anything, it probably will get cheaper.
It might get cheaper. So tell me about the experience that you had this last weekend, Mike.
Yeah, so I played in a local tournament down at I think it's SEO game store. It's like an offshoot of Curio Cavern. It's a Nova. Nova crowd showed up, like, pretty good. And I'm a clone player, so I wanted to test out these new Marksmen again. Last time I tested out the Overwatch thing. This time I decided to play a fun little game we can play now, and that is I'm playing clones, you're playing a different faction, but I have more guys than you.
In your clone list, the ones with the red saves and the token sharing, those guys?
Yeah. So the list I brought was 3 Marksman Supers, 1 Marksman Super with a medic. The medic might be the only thing in this list that might go up, possibly, just because. But you could just like replace it with something else. And then
so far we're at 37.
We are
37 clone models.
37 clone models. Yep.
Yeah.
We have then a 5s super squad with a shotgun to add 11 models.
48.
Yep.
One of them has 2 health.
Uh-huh. And then we've got what I would describe as a mini super squad, which is Ahsoka in a clone squad with a shotgun and a specialist. So it's a 7-man clone squad.
I like it.
It's like a mini super where you don't, you're getting a discount. The other supers are not
55.
Okay, cool. So that's the core. We've basically got 5 supers and a mini super in the core. And then we've got Bad Batch for funsies to add 5 more clone bodies, but they're really like
to add the 5 beefiest clone bodies in the game.
It's really like 10, but for the purposes of our example, it'll be 5. And then we've got Rex with recon intel to round it out to, I believe, 61. And it's funny because I normally gauge how big my list is numbers wise by like how many trays of dudes I have to pack up. Like normally my clone list fits in 1 tray. This list barely fit in 2. And yeah. And so that's the list. You recon intel 5s and Bad Batch, obviously. And so what this sets up is obviously going from the lessons we learned last week. Garrison, very strong with a bunch of marksmen. So Garrison is in our deck again, which means you're choosing between Garrison, Cunning Deployment, or Advanced Intel. All of those things very strong. You often end up with Garrison because Advanced Intel is particularly when Bad Batch and 5s are on the table with Scouting Party. And Cunning Deployment also just makes it like super hard to shoot into anything. And so you often are like, I've got 4 marksmen on the table and Ahsoka. Ahsoka starts with, that's 6 dodge tokens because you're not ordering any of them. You just play like standing orders turn 1, get 5s in orders, get Bad Batch in order. You don't really care when Rex goes, though earlier the better because some aims for the marksman is nice. But you're starting the game with, like 45 models on the board. And then you got all these pass tokens, so your opponent kind of has to walk into you. The marksman can hit anything on the table, basically. And if you're the thing about this list that was way, like I thought it would be good, but it was like way better than I thought it was going to be, was if your opponent decides they're like, oh, well, I can't avoid the marksman. I might as well try and like kill a couple models turn 1. Bad Batch and 5s just come screaming out of the backfield and just clap whatever it is. Because if you're able to engage the marksman, that means a scout plus a move is going to put you in shoot range of 5s, and it's going to put you in steady range of Bad Batch, and you're just going to start losing units wholesale. And yeah, like going back to the like firing on turn 1 and all cylinders things, assuming you're not getting shot by 5s and Bad Batch turn 1, you're still taking 37 dice to the face from the marksman. And that's and it's not really avoidable unless you got a line of sight blocker. And if you decide to engage, you're taking another 20.
Oof.
It's less modded than your download strike, right? It's more about volume than it is about
Are you taking aim shoots usually?
With the marksman? It depends, sometimes
if you have the long shot, then you kind of have to, right?
I mean, you can also just like move shoot in those scenarios.
Yeah.
As long as you don't move up beyond range 2 of your zone, or your board edge, like you don't want to move beyond that because that's the threshold that like 5s and Bad Batch can't back you up, right?
And that's where a range 3 unit can do a move shoot and just like hit you on round 1, or a sleeper cell can hit you on round 1, something like that.
Yeah, that's like the danger town zone.
Yeah,
though you can do that towards the tail end of the turn because like. Let's be real. If your opponent's got like 2 sleeper cells and you've got 5s and Bad Batch, like I'm okay trading a marksman unit that probably isn't going to die in one shot for 2 of your sleeper cells.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that. You might not even kill the marksman unit, and your sleeper cells are definitely dead. Like, so yeah, interesting list. Going back to your gather intel example, because you were like, these are the units I get to pick. These are the units you get to pick in this list. You get to pick between 5 super, Bad Batch, and a 7-man Ahsoka squad.
Yeah. It's not amazing. It's funny that it's like they're bad choices for the opposite reason that mine are bad choices. Mine are bad choices because I can just like dive them in to exist and just like scrap and melee at the very end of the round and not be a threat, but also not really be killable in time for you to prevent an intel token.
Yeah.
And yours are like, I don't want to be close to that jerk.
It's like, I don't want to be close to it. B, these are definitely going to be on the points. C, if they are on the point, I kind of have to have multiple units there because these are units that could literally one-shot things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like, oh, not great. It was hard. My opponent was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I give it to 5s and Ahsoka. And I was like, all right, 5s on this side, Ahsoka on the other side. Let's go. You know? And like,
that's pretty tough.
Yeah. So I pretty much tabled my opponents every game by turn 3.
Oh yeah, I never did that. So
I basically
turns out maybe I didn't have the most gross list over the weekend.
I tabled a Kenobi list.
Oh wow.
Ooh. Yeah. It was gross.
That list, it gosh, you know, my list, I felt like it kind of evoked Blizzard Force. Your list sounds like it's kind of evoking Rexstar a little bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, Rex is in it. So like, I mean,
it's got Rex.
It's Rex. It kind of operates like a star. Let's
the nature of the Rexstar is now more focused on the fact that you can give 2 units Scout 2 that benefit from Scout 2 extraordinarily.
They benefit from it a ton, and also I think it gets a lot better when they're supported. You know, like in standard clone lists right now, the rest of your army's walking on the board, whereas this army's like, the battle line is here.
Yeah.
Scout 2 gets you there. And now you are contributing to a battle line in which 7 of your units are firing on all cylinders, as opposed to, this is just like a kind of like a sleeper cell-esque flanking solution at the end of the turn where 5s and Rex or 5s and Bad Batch are coming in off the wing. This is 5s and Bad Batch showing up to a battle line that is already inflicting attrition damage, right? And the wildest thing, I'm going to be honest, I have never had this feeling so strongly before. I think we've all had games where you feel like you're losing, but you're actually winning.
Yeah.
Okay. I had that feeling every game because I was just picking marksmen up by the handful. And I was just like, I'm like, oh, 3 died here, 4 died here, 5 died here. And like by mid-turn 3, I've picked up what is like the equivalent in bodies of my like Yoda list. You know, I'm like, but I'm just gas pedal down, just like mowing people. It didn't matter because I still have 35 clones on the table.
Yeah.
And like I think the thing that's this like stuck out to me was when I'm playing my Yoda list, if I lose a 5-man core unit, I'm feeling not good. Right. I'm feeling like I'm in a bad spot. This list is like loses 20 guys and it's like, man, whatever. Like they might not even all be from the same squads.
You have 55 minis in your list.
61.
Oh, sorry, 61. I apologize. I forgot about. Yeah.
You know, I mean
about that, but oh god. Yeah. So you have 61 minis, and you know several of them are extra meaty.
Several of them are extra media. I mean, assuming no dodge tokens and you have enough surges to cover you, like that's 180 effective health. I don't think it's quite that because like on turn 3, you definitely don't have access to enough surge tokens, or rather, by turn 3, turn 4, you're like petering out on that.
Yeah,
but like
you have your 2 infantry, and that's pretty much it at that point.
Right. Once you're through Attack of the Clones and Rex's 3-pip,
yeah,
like you kind of don't have any more surge tokens. But I mean, at that point.
But the nature of attrition is that if you've done enough damage by then it doesn't matter that you're not super defensive at that point because your opponent's army has been mostly killed.
Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know how good this list is, but it is definitely like, I think out of the box, it is mega super strong. I have never had opponents like illustrate to me that like after the game ended, they're like, I don't think I could have won that game under any circumstance. Like
you've never had opponents say that?
I mean, I've had opponents say things like that, but not like, I can't articulate it. Not because of the list. Like we set up on the board and they were like, well, I can't move forward, I can't hang back, you know. And it was similar to the Rebel situation. I actually think Rebels might be in a very weird, precarious spot moving forward because they have a lot of range. They fight in the range 2 band, and these super duper, you know, weight of dice turn 1 lists. They work in the range 4 world to some extent, and unless Rebels have like 6 buildings in their deployment zone to hide behind, you know. And the other thing is that I think against your list and the list that I was running, if you're not inflicting attrition into these lists, maybe more so mine, just because there's so many red save dudes, like like you can't not choose not to inflict attrition because you gotta kill things, otherwise it's gonna kill you. And I don't know. I don't even think snipers would be very good into this list because
to pick up 1 clone model per shot.
Yeah, it's like nice 70 points or what, however, but you know, it's like what, 60.
Yeah, it's just like not worth it,
you know. And you have to stay like, you know, heaven forbid a marksman squad gets a hold of that guy, you know, like that dude's just dead, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
I even think of like if you had something like a double Jedi list, or you know, like if you did have Dooku and regular Grievous, or Dooku and Asajj, you know, who would obviously have a lot of strong piercing attack dice, but even Asajj like literally would have to use her regular attack and her spray weapon to be able to kill a marksman unit in 1 round.
Yeah, and then really hope they don't get charged by 5s or Ahsoka on the clapback.
Yeah, and Asajj is one of the most killable characters in melee from a unit like an ARC Trooper or a 5s unit. That I've actually seen that happen a couple times. And Dooku, forget it. Like, you got a lot of high quality dice, but you're not throwing enough.
No.
And so
I think like tenacity, I guess tenacity, Maul, tenacity, Asajj, tenacity, Ahsoka.
They would technically have enough dice to one shot a marksman.
Unlikely, but
very unlikely.
Yeah. If you've got choke on them, maybe a little bit more reasonable.
On the quad dodge turn, Asajj could maybe do a 1 shot.
Yeah.
But that's
assuming you
like
roll poor saves.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. I mean, yeah, actually, you're right. Because you know she's pierced 2, but even if you roll average, you're not going to be losing everybody.
You know, if you roll 9 hits, like we probably lose 5.
Yeah,
like that's the average.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but it's just crazy because I'm gonna be really, really curious about. Obviously, it's so many things can change when this update happens, and if new upgrades come out, and then of course, like there's going to be the potential angle of new battle cars early next year. So a ton can change, but right now, it feels like Marksmen are going to have clones on the way up.
Yeah, I think these are the things that are poised to be meta-defining things in the event that there isn't substantial shifts due to whatever happens in 2 days, you know, which like I think it's likely that we're gonna see a bunch of new stuff but not get rules for it. It's gonna be like previews and stuff, right?
Yeah,
we're gonna get the points update, which will shift some things, but I don't think they're really shifting anything that we're talking about. Probably
just Aquas. I mean,
right.
Between all the things that we talked about, Aquas, I think, are the only thing that's going to change.
And like I don't know, if Aquas change, maybe you just drop like a B1 from your list and move on. You know, like
or maybe toss in a snail instead and save cash elsewhere.
Sure.
Would not be the most terrible thing in the world. There would be plenty of options if the Aquas were suddenly so expensive that I actually wanted to switch them out, or if they don't go up by enough, then I could just make adjustments on the list to take out some things that are just like nice to have but not necessary for the list to function. Like, do I need 3 copies of Direct? Not really. It's just nice.
I'll cut 8 points or whatever that upgrade is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. You know, I think it is still a little early on the Marksman. I don't think it's like a little early on the Super Tac. The Super Tac's crazy good.
They're crazy.
Yeah,
they're crazy.
I think I've seen enough of the litmus tests to know that we're going to be living in a world here where the Super Tacs are quite good for probably up and through Adepticon, I would assume, at this juncture, unless they're so crazy good that they decide to like step in January and be like, yo, we gotta tamp this down. I'm willing to say I think that they're better than anything the 501st list had.
Globally, I agree with you. I think that the 501st felt especially abusive against Empire.
Sure.
At the time,
I think both of these lists that we played this weekend could crack open one of those 501st lists like an egg and eat it for breakfast.
That much is actually true.
Like,
yeah.
I feel very confident about that.
Yeah. You would actually need to have the saber throw version of Anakin to be able to, you know, just like double attack Grievous and get rid of him with very little effort.
Yeah.
But even then, like, there's still so much else. Like that list.
I mean, that's assuming you're not churning through 8 up and close and personal dodge tokens.
Yeah, actually, that's true. And the other funny thing is that list basically ceased to exist before Aquas came out, and it's true that maybe the Aquas would dip out of this list if they're about to become too expensive. But if Aquas are around back then that 501st list would not have been cleaning up the way that it was.
No, and I think it's interesting, right? I think there was a boogeyman in the room that like we weren't really. It was like the first boogeyman, and we weren't sure how scary the boogeymen were gonna get. But this was the first one, and therefore he must be nerfed into oblivion.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting because I mean we're talking about 2 potential boogeymen of the next phase of the meta. But that's on top of whatever else crazy stuff could be coming out in a couple days.
Yeah,
so it's fun.
It's definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be wild times. You know, I think. Yeah, I don't know what to think. I have purchased my 4 Marksmen. And
I have 2. I'm probably going to get 2 more.
Yep, and you know. I guess I'm going to enjoy them before they do receive the 501st nerf bat. You know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do think that the clone list is a little bit of a stat check, in addition to being just kind of like strong, like a stat check in the way that like Ewoks are a stat check, you know.
Yeah, it's a different kind of stat check. Wait, what's wild is that the Ewok list, I think, has, I mean, I might be off, but I think it has 70 minis in the Ewok list. It's like barely more.
That's the thing, you know, you show up with clones, your opponent expects to like maybe not 2x you, but like as far as models go, but like
right.
They expect to have more stuff than you on the board. And like you're like, no. Nope. Sorry.
It's funny, I was just counting like my stupid Adepticon list was like, okay, so 4 Wookiees times 4 is 16, and then a 5-man arc unit is 21. A commander is 22, and 3 Fluttercraft is 25. I think I had 25 minis in that list.
Yeah.
With far less effective health.
Well, that's the thing, you know, in clone lists, generally you're like, I lose 5 clones, and like all of a sudden you're feeling really not so hot. In this list, you're like, I lost 5 clones. Great. Welcome to Soviet Russia.
The next man picks up a rifle and shoots.
We're not called Marksmen for nothing.
Yeah, boy, it's gonna be a crazy world. But you know, Mike, let's maybe turn to later topics. Well, we're gonna take C3LP out of the cooler. I hope that he's thought about what he did when he said those mean things about Wookiees and Magna Guards. He seems to have sort of a thing for naming special forces units.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree with that.
It's like special forces and operatives, because it was like Bosk, ARCs, IRG, RIP, Magna Guards, BX. So maybe we're going to break the streak this time, Mike. What does C3LP want us to talk about today?
C3LP would like us to talk about Imperial Scout Troopers.
Great. Cool. I think after this we might need to
specify non-special forces.
Yeah, remember, Mike. You can be mean to him, and you should.
Yeah.
It will make him better at his job if we are emotionally abusive towards C3LP. But what does C3LP say about Scout Troopers? This is always the fun part, to see how right or usually not right it is.
Yeah. So the stat line cost 60 points for the base squad.
Which
I'm not sure it's ever been that high.
I don't think so.
1 wound per mini, courage 2, white defense die, one black die at range 1 to 2.
Whoops.
Oops.
AI, everybody.
Yeah. Scout 3, low profile, sharpshooter 1. This is under the special rules section. Under the special rules, it has a special rule that I've never seen before, which is
interesting.
Imperial discipline benefits from orders and synergy with Imperial commanders. I don't know what that would. I mean, I assume that it's referencing Veers'
the discipline keyword, or the Death Trooper keyword, right? Or no, it wasn't Death Troopers.
I think this has got to be like somebody wrote an article with Scout Troopers and like HQ uplinks, and Imperial discipline was in the article, and AI was like,
that's probably it. That's probably it. Because like Death Troopers do still have the discipline keyword, which is that when you get an order, you lose that many suppression tokens instantaneously, but I don't think that that's what they meant here. Scout Troopers definitely don't have that. Yet again, Mike, when AI doesn't have an answer, it just makes something up.
Mm-hmm.
And it sort of like does its best guess. And so for the 28th time, please, Lord, just like remember that if you're trying to, use AI in your everyday life to answer an important question for you.
Speaking of BS, do you want to hear a sentence that doesn't pass the smell test.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
The play style of scouts is that they synergize beautifully with commanders like Iden Versio or Director Krennic, who enhance covert tactics.
Enhanced covert tactics. It's just putting words together.
I can Iden, okay, but Krennic?
No, there's no synergy that I can think of with Director Krennic. His one pip makes the order control slightly less of a problem. That's pretty much it. So
it's like they're like, we're gonna give you scout troopers, but we're gonna pick and pull like a couple things off death troopers and like mold them into this discussion. Death troopers, scout troopers, they must be the same thing, right?
I just hate how it feels this need to just like toss words in there to make it sound quote unquote cool.
Oh, just wait. This didn't just toss units. In short, scout troopers are the Empire's surgical strike unit. Sneaky, accurate, and lethal when played with finesse. Think of them as the exact opposite of the brute force Wookiee approach.
No! C3LP, you need to
back in the cooler.
You need to go to sensitivity training. This is like starting to get worrisome. I think that C3LP. You want to talk about something that there were a lot of news articles about early on in the AI news cycle is the innate biases that AIs had because of the people who happens to program them.
Sure.
And so I have to apologize on behalf of the Wookiee fans everywhere to the other Wookiee fans. C3LP is not only going to go back in the cooler, but I think that we're probably going to have to like fill the cooler up with some water and then toss a couple of plugged-in toasters in there to like reset his memory a little bit. I don't know how else what else is a droid going to listen to, Mike?
I don't know.
I guess actually now that we're talking about this, you remember how like in Jabba had his like droid torture chamber?
Yes, yeah.
And like one of the droids was just like poking a hot poker onto the feet of like a gonk droid.
Yeah, and, which begs a lot of questions. But.
It begs a ton of questions. Is like, first of all, even if you could like turn them on, why would you have pain sensors on the foot of a gonk droid?
Just in case you step on a Lego. I don't know.
we don't want. We're going to get in trouble if these droids ruin. If they ruin the carpet of the owners who have bought them, so we need them to be able to sense when they're on top of a different kind of floor. But also what's the situation where the way to torture a droid would be to like poke them on the foot with a hot iron versus some kind of like cyberpunk,
install
run a bunch of internet through their brains.
Yeah.
Or tell them a paradox, right? Something aside from a poker on your steel foot.
Well, I mean, Star Wars is not exactly known for its finer narrative points.
What? The hell you say? There's nothing about Star Wars that doesn't make any sense. Like when you can have as a starting point the whole concept of an Imperial Walker. Does that make any sense at all in a world where there's hover things?
I hear like Wayfinder things are really, really great too. Particularly ones shaped like crashed starships.
Oh my god, that's still my favorite. Through an ancient Sith tradition, we made this cool little compass that looks like the skyline of the second Death Star, but only when you hold it from the right angle, you see. And that is the key. to finding something. Oh yeah, to finding the friggin' Horcrux that will lead you to the secret Palpatine planet. What a terrible movie. Except Babu Frick, he's awesome. The rest of that movie is garbage.
But I'm gonna be honest. I would still be super excited to get First Order and Resistance in 2 days.
Wow, man, you're ending it with a super hot take. I'll briefly say that I've thought about this, and I think that First Order you can make work, but that they would need to do so much homebrew with Resistance to actually make it work as an army and Legion.
I think Resistance, you make it Rebels.
6 operatives.
No, I think you just make it Rebels, but you can take like the named characters are different.
Yeah, I mean, from a named character standpoint, they would be fine. It's basically the fact that the closest that you got to like a standing army was the end of Last Jedi, which was basically just them intentionally losing in an even more losey way than Hoth was. But I mean, yeah, it could happen. I do think that if AMG wasn't sort of throttled in terms of like factory space in the way that they are, in terms of just like how much stuff it's even possible for them to make at once, then I think it maybe would have been a thing. But I've been wrong before.
Hey,
who knows?
People would buy it. That's all I'm saying.
People would buy it. That's for sure.
And I'd pay for Kylo Ren on the table. I would. 100%.
I mean, yeah, and yeah, I'd even pay for Phasma on the table.
Yo.
I'd pay for General Hux on the table.
Copium / total craziness. What if they removed Royal Guard because that wasn't the version of Royal Guard they wanted to show? They wanted to show the Royal Guard that is in the throne room with Snoke.
The Praetorian Guard is what they were called.
Yeah.
Which is a cool name.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I would be super glad if that was the case. I think that what may even be more likely than that is I guess my hot take prediction is that the reason they got rid of Pathfinders is so that they could have a Rogue One battle force that had a like a rebel trooper special unit that they just called Pathfinders. I don't know. Well, because like they said that you can use the Pathfinders as rebel troopers, right? And so everybody except Biston and Pow. And so like all they would need would be a special issue version of rebel troopers that you call Pathfinders. You can give some different stuff. The models basically already looked the same anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Their hats were a little different.
A bunch of dudes in combat fatigues. I was never able to tell them apart.
Have they done any sequel era stuff for Shatterpoint?
No, but they have. So yeah, no, they haven't. Okay. But it would be really easy for them to do that.
That seems way easier than Legion.
I think they already have a, like, Shatterpoint has a thing where your squad has to be from the same era. I think they already have an era that's called Age of Resistance, if I remember right. So I think that they may have already planned ahead for it. If I was able to briefly make a Shatterpoint MiniStrav guest, I do think that sequel stuff is going to show up in Shatterpoint in this MiniStrav.
I don't know. I don't know
too much sense.
Where else you really go with Shatterpoint if you're not going to the sequel stuff.
They've already done so much Clone Wars and stuff. They still have some OT stuff to get through, but I feel like they've done almost everything I can think of for Clone Wars already. So some sequel stuff, or maybe even Acolyte stuff. Who knows?
I wouldn't hate that.
I don't know. In Shatterpoint, Acolyte would actually be perfect. You could only get 2 boxes out of it, but anyway, C3LP. We're gonna institute some discipline of our own, and maybe when he gets out of the electrified cooler he'll be a little bit better behaved next time. I apologize to all the Wookiees out there.
Yeah.
But we will, the next time we talk to you, it'll be with some fresh MiniStrav news. It'll be Mike and Isaac and Owen. And then we'll be getting together after that. We may even have some special guests that are lining up for a little bit later in November. And then, of course, we have the Festivus episode to look forward to, where we'll really let loose towards the holiday times. We have a lot to look forward to around here.
Yeah, I suspect the next Notorious Scoundrels will be perhaps way too long of an episode ever.
Yeah, well, boy, we'll see. We'll see. But until then, Mike, how do we land the plane?
Yeah, this has been the Notorious Scoundrels, Season 4, Episode 37. I'm Mike.
I'm Evan.
Stay fresh, cheese bags. Unless you're C3LP, stay in the cooler.
Stay in the cooler, jerk. Bye.